Saints Commanders betting preview, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to try and find some winners in the New Orleans Saints versus Washington Commanders game in Week 15 of the NFL. All right, I kind of like this game for betting purposes. I think a game that seems obvious sometimes is like, well, you know, this obviously is going to happen, so no point in betting it. I say au contraire. If you obviously know what's going to happen or obviously know the game script, to me, that offers a lot of opportunities to bet into that game script. So today we're going to talk about that a little bit. All right, so let's look at the base odds first. So the game opens 3. Okay, that's with Carr. Carr is ruled out. Game moves to 7, blows through 7, goes to 7.5. Has stayed at 7.5. All right, let's look at the betting splits. 88% of the monies is on the Commanders. 66% of the monies is on the Commanders. Or 66% of the tickets, 88% of the monies. All right. At circa 69% of bets are on the Commanders, 62% of the handles on the Saints. This tells us that sharp money was on the Commanders from 3 to 7. This is not sharp money at 7.5. Arguably isn't sharp money at 7. I would borderline play Saints plus 7.5. If it goes to 8, then okay, then we know there's a little bit more respected money coming in. If it goes to 7, you got to ask yourself, why in the holy hell, with the seemingly most obvious game on the board, the highest concentration of bets pretty much, why would that game drop? So part of me loves, love is strong. I don't love the game, but part of me wants to play the Saints plus 7.5. Okay, so let's go to the props, because this is where you can really make some magic happen. So if we go to the props, this is what I think is going to happen. The first player I want to look at is Alvin Kamara. All right, so his yards are at 63.5 Bet Rivers. That's a little low, TBH. I was hoping it'd be closer to 70. Alvin's been sick all week, which already doesn't help things. But why wouldn't Washington just sell out? Why wouldn't they just put 6 people up front and say, y'all ain't running? And Jake Haener is going to have to throw you into this game. Why wouldn't they do that? So I'm under the assumption that 1, the Saints are going to be down a majority of the game. 2, the Commanders are going to sell out to stop the run. And both of those equal Alvin Kamara under rushing yards, under rushing attempts. 16.5 seems crazy high. Crazy high. Especially when you factor in he's sick. Especially when you factor in, like, he's going to play, but he's still sick. We've all been sick before. A couple days after you're sick, you're not 100%. You're still eating soup. You're still eating pho. 16.5 is crazy high. I would play this under. I'm going to play this under. Bet Rivers 133 seems to be the number. Bet 365 130. So I like that. If you want to go attempts instead of the yards, you're afraid of like one rush beating you or whatever. I understand that. But I like that. So if Alvin is not getting the workload, what about Kendra? Now, this seems high too, because if we're under the assumption that the Saints are not going to be able to run the football, or they're not going to run the football because they're down, I think this is a little high for Kendra, TBH. So, all right, now let's keep on looking. So Jaden Daniels, all right. I like his rushing. Everything rushing. Longest rush, 13.5. Maybe the play of the day for me. My fear with Jaden Daniels would be that the Commanders are up so big, they take him out. But this kind of saves you from that. You need him to escape once. We did this with Drew Lock, where we said Drew Lock, 9.5, seems low. If he escapes once, boom, picks up the first down. The Saints let that happen all the time. Happened on the first drive. Same thing with Jaden Daniels. how are the Commanders going to get up to a big lead in this game? It's more than likely going to be Jaden Daniels running around or some combination of Terry McLaurin getting free down the field. All right, so let's bet into that. I love Jaden Daniels' longest rush over 13.5. I love that. I also like the idea of, let's see. A lot of places have like to lead the game in rushing. You got to find those like game props or things like that. But I like that if you can find it. So who leads the game in rushing? Jaden Daniels. Let's see if we can find it. No. Different markets, but look for that market. Daniels to lead the game in rushing. Love that. So let's go back here. So Jaden Daniels' longest rush. Jaden Daniels' rush attempts, I wouldn't. If you told me he played the whole game, I would take the over. But I'd be afraid that he's not going to play the last little bit. He's not going to be the one taking the knees. So this seems a little high. So I wouldn't touch that. Yards, 39.5. I'd play that. So I'd play yards. I'd play longest rush. Let's see what else we got here. Let's look at Jake Haener props. So Haener, yards 187. Yuck. I wouldn't mess with that. Pass attempts. Maybe you take the pass attempts. I think you're safer playing the pass attempts. They're going to start slow. Now, here's my thought process is, if they try and start slow and the Commanders sell out against the run and they don't allow them to run, then it's a situation where they have to throw. If they have to throw, you got to think it's going to be a bunch of short, quick, intermediate to short level routes, which would boost his attempts. But again, you got to hope he's in the entire game, and you got to hope that the Saints are chasing the entire game. His pass attempts over, probably worth a look. Interceptions, I don't think he's ever thrown, I don't think he has any turnovers, right, in his time. So probably wouldn't play that. He just seems like a really efficient, like, short route kind of guy. Now you may say, okay, well, if he's throwing short routes, then who's it going to be to? Alvin Kamara is obviously your first. I mean, Bet Rivers hanging a 3.5 is insane. That seems like easy. I mean, that seems easy. Unless AK is sick and he's not going to be out there, but I mean, how the hell does he not get 4 catches with Jake Haener? That seems kind of crazy to me. That one seems off. Dallin Holker is another one. His receptions aren't on here, but I don't hate the idea. It all depends on how much he's on the field. Dallin Holker is the guy who Jake Haener has spent the most time throwing to. He's the tight end with the twos. Haener has majority play with the twos. In his interview, he mentioned that him and Dallin Holker are in sync. He likes throwing to him. The only question is, will he actually be on the field? Now, if he's not on the field, I'm not saying take his touchdowns, but look like if you can find a 0.5 reception or something like that. Foster and Juwan obviously would be guys I would target. Tight ends. This offense already runs multiple back, multiple tight end, that like 12 personnel set. So Foster Moreau, 1.5 receptions seems super, super low. Juwan Johnson over 3.5. I mean, you could just play them both. There's a chance that both hit. I don't think there's any chance that neither hit. So I would probably play those. I would play Juwan. I would play Foster. Foster, 1.5 just seems crazy. 1.5 just seems like, I mean, what else is Haener going to do? Like, do they think Haener's just going to be hucking it downfield? What's MVS? MVS is 2.5. I mean, again, the math doesn't math. Like, you have MVS 2.5. You got Foster 1.5. Juwan was 3.5. What's Kevin Austin? Kevin Austin Jr., 1.5. What do they have Jake's completions at? Completions are 18. 17.5, 18. So you got to get to 18. All right, we got Alvin at 3.5. We got Juwan at 3.5. We got Kevin Austin Jr. at whatever it was, 2.5. You got Foster at 1.5. I guess the math's not mathing. He's got to throw it to somebody. the game script also leans to this. Game script leans to the Saints being down, the Saints having to throw. I mean, MVS is one where I would write him off because of the Lattimore matchup. So take him out of the equation. I think his long reception under might be an absolute vibe because of Marshawn Lattimore. And he's been hitting it every week, but this is the week where it's like, I don't think Marshawn's going to let that happen in his first game back in the Superdome. So MVS under 20.5 at FanDuel is pretty sporty. That's pretty nice. You got to love that. Got to love that. Marshawn to have an interception. You feeling crazy? 6-1, bet 365. Could be interesting. I'm not playing it, but had to bring it up. McLaurin, 4.5 receptions. Don't hate it, but then it's like, well, why would they be tossing the ball around? I always say you want you want to have your bets equal to the motivation of the team. So you don't want to have all these bets where it's like the bets are that the Commanders have to throw the football because you're assuming they're not going to have to. You're assuming that they're just going to be up. They're not going to have to keep hucking it down the field. Whereas with the Saints, you want those bets to be lined up with the game script. Same thing. You don't want to bet Alvin Kamara to have 100 yards rushing. Why would he, in what world would he have that kind of success in this game? You don't want to bet, you don't want to bet props for a script that's not going to happen. So make sure you're focusing on that. Dante Pettis, receiving yards, 6.5 receiving yards. Like, some of these numbers are just so crazy. Some of these numbers, it's like Chase Young revenge game. Chase Young to have a sack, 2-1. I don't think it's worth it, but got to bring it up. Funny they're hanging Derek Carr numbers out here. That's wild. But I mean, I think Jamal. He doesn't have anything on here. Yeah, I mean, I think I liked the bets we just talked about. Like, I like the Juwan Johnson receptions. I like Foster Moreau receptions. I like Alvin Kamara over 3.5 receptions. I like his under of 16.5 rushing attempts. I like his under of yards. Yards got a little low, but so I would stick with the attempts over that. Let's see what else. What else do we talk about? Jaden Daniels over, or the long rush over 13.5 seems very nice, very nicey. If you can find Jaden Daniels to lead the game in rushing yards, I'd look at that. MVS, also like his unders. I like his under probably yards maybe, but I definitely like the longest reception under because of Marshawn. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Saints win. I think they keep it. I think they can backdoor this thing. I think they keep it. I think 7.5, Saints plus 7.5. If you have to bet the side, that's the way I would go. But I like it. I mean, I like what we have going on here. I really do. I like what I'm seeing. Let's take a look at some of these other props. Touchdown props. Longest touchdown. I mean, Commanders' longest touchdown seems pretty nice. Could be a field goal game for sure. Could be a field goal game. Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think Saints first drive punt. I like playing punts. I love playing punts. And I love playing field goal attempt. Love those. It happens so much more than you would think. A field goal attempt happens so much more than you would think on the first drive. Love playing those. Commanders' first drive result, field goal, 3-1. I mean, pretty sporty. I mean, even this, like if you start doing the correlated stuff, like Alvin Kamara catches a pass on the Saints' first drive is plus 125. Bet Rivers has him 3.5. Okay, so this is telling you that he's got a pretty decent chance to catch a pass on the first drive. And then Bet Rivers is telling you no way he catches 4 for the entire game. Just seems off. Just seems off to me. Let's see. So Saints first drive, touchdown scorer. I mean, these are like lottery bets. I don't ever mess with these. You could do exactas, punt, touchdown, punt, field goal attempt. Man, these are wild too. Interesting. All right. Yeah, I mean that's what I like. I think we're directionally right on these things. Like I think we're directionally on the money. So I'll be playing a lot of those. Make sure to be following the Twitter account, the Instagram account, all that stuff. We post and plays throughout the day. Hopefully you'll be seeing this on a Sunday. Hopefully I've already cashed my Travis Hunter 23-1 to win the Heisman ticket. Huge bet, would be the biggest cash of my life. So hopefully when you see this video, I did cash that ticket. So make sure you're checking Twitter for that. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what bets you make. Who dat? See what happens. I'll be in the dome, and I will see you in the next video.